Be nice. Be sweet. Give him kisses. Loves. Yeah, that's a good boy. That's a good boy, Finley. Good boy.
Good little fiend.
Anyway, I'll let you get back to getting ready or whatever.
Yeah, no worries, man. Little Jojo.
Oh, yeah, my boy, Finley.
I'll just go ahead and leave the door open.
Woody.
Yeah, it's Zhukov. Zhukov and Finley's just little bros. Just little bros being bros. What the fuck, man? Where are these fruit flies coming again? Yeah, come back. Boo. Did not like that. Sure got everything. Cool. There we go. Got the sea coffee. The coffee. Good job. Coffee before your enslavement. What? Oh, come on. Get plugged in there. Well, damn. The fuck is going on out there? I'm curious enough to want to go see this. Give it all. Look at you. It was my neighbor's boat. That's what it was. It's my neighbor's boat. I think he was flushing all the water out of it. And, you know, in order to do that, I think he has to turn the engine on. They kind of rev it up a little bit. At least from what it looks like. I have no idea. But it looks cool. And it sounds like a big honking, like, diesel motorcycle of some sort. Before Safeway merges with Walmart to create SafeMart. Nah, dude. No, you're not thinking like a corporation. It wouldn't be SafeMart. It'll be Wallway. Welcome to Wallway. Like, they're gonna, like, find something that's, like, even worse for a name instead of SafeMart. Because SafeMart sounds like it would actually be the name of a store. But, so you're not thinking enough like a coked out executive. Because, I mean, realistically, they would, you know, call it, like, Wallway or something. They just call it Xmart, or is that Elon? That's Elon. That'd be Elon's adventure. Sweet little doggo. Look at you. So. Brand X, it's simple and plain. Brand X, it's different but the same. See, I know it. You don't know it. Yeah, I know the full fucking thing, and I don't know if that's sad or impressive. I've only seen that movie once, and that is still stuck in my fucking head. Because honestly, I mean, it's well, simple and plain for even the, like, chant, but in a weird way, it's kind of got, like, a little bit of a beat to it. Is it movie enough to remember the gist of the jingle? Yeah, you got the gist of the jingle. But honestly, Elon Musk does not help at all. With that whole X bullshit and everything, like, it really just, it brings back dark memories of that movie. Well, movie. I guess it is a movie, but it's just not a completed one. It's about as, like, finished up as much as you can make a movie without it really not being a movie. Because technically, I mean, it was a movie in production that got released. It wasn't even done yet. Like, so I can only imagine, you know, like, what the end product was supposed to be. Which I'm assuming was supposed to look a lot more polished out and way better. But, I mean, what eventually got released was literally just, like, the alpha version of the movie. And obviously, it's just so bad, it's good. And, of course, you know, it stands the test of time. Can we not call it... Dude, it's Twitter. He tweeted and ruined some kid's life. Well, it's Elon Musk. Of course he did. Don't dead name on principle. Dude, dead naming's for people. Dead name, like, fuck that shit. Like, I mean, like, quit being a woke skull, dude. Like, why do you think, you know, like, people on Twitter, you know, scream out faggot, faggot, you know, Nazis killed queers and all that shit? Because of this. Like, I mean... I don't die now in principle, so it's Zeet now and this and that. It's like, I mean, you're giving them, like, free ammunition to be like, look at this woke skull being a retard, lol. Because nobody does that. It's like Latinx. Like, it's more insulting, more so than trying to be woke and do something on principle. Like, it's like going so far to try to, like, be accommodating to the point where it's just like you're now looking more like the woke scold SJW, more, you know, like to the point of the stereotype that, you know, fucking, you know, right-wingers, you know, think. Like, and also, like, it's not that, it's posting. Like, it's technically, you're now making a post on X. It's not tweeting. Like, I mean, you know, so even then, you're still, like, misgendering Twitter or whatever the fuck, which is beyond retarded anyway. Like, dead naming's, you know, only, you know, it only accounts for people and their names. Mostly for trans people, or people that decide to change their name. You know, so it's just like, that's what it is. Like, I mean, it's not for a platform or whatever the fuck. Because what that is called is rebranding. Rebranding and, you know, and shit is not, like, has anything to do or equate to dead naming whatsoever. It has nothing to do with it. So if I decide to call a corporation its former name because people know it better as that, that's not dead naming. That's just like calling the corporation for what it is. You know, it's just like, and Twitter's the corporation. Just because you decide to rebrand it, it doesn't mean shit. Because guess what? It's, you know, if, you know, there's another leader, CEO type for Twitter, they're going to revert it right back. You changed it to Zeeting yesterday. Well, if Elon did that, then he's a fucking moron. And I'm still going to call it tweeting and Twitter. You have become the woke SJW sword you never be. I'm not trying to, like, say that you are, literally. I'm just saying that that type of shit, you know, can easily be attributed as that. Like, I mean, because it's just, like, genuinely, like, even for me, it's annoying. I mean, it's just, like, because it doesn't mean anything besides just annoy people. Like, I mean, outside of that, really. Because no one calls it that. I haven't even, like, literally nobody. You're, like, the only person I've ever seen overtly go out of the way to, like, call it Zeeting or whatever the fuck. We should investigate all the microaggressions against me you've done. Oh my fucking god, here we go. Oh no. Oh boy, here we go. Oh god. Oh no. Is this how my morning's gonna start? There's a karaoke version of this song. You twitched 2 seconds ago into me waiting to hurt my feelings. Oh my god, dude. Alright. Was it that? Yeah. Is there? Oh, there isn't. Boo. It's Project Vela. I'm convinced if you listened to their bigger songs, you'd come around to them. Project Vela? I don't think I've heard of them before. I mean, well, maybe you might have sent me some of their stuff before and I just don't know. But, yeah, I mean, at least, you know, as far as I'm aware, I haven't heard of them. Showed a couple of their less popular songs I liked, and you weren't impressed. I wasn't? Well, I maybe it must have been, like, in a mishmash of different things you sent me, like, because I don't remember it too much. I mean, well, I don't know. It sounds a little familiar. I mean, you know, honestly, if anything, I probably have only heard of him for you. But, I mean, I don't know. I know it's a karaoke night for me, so I'm definitely gonna at least, maybe do a couple different ones I haven't done before yet. So I mentioned make you an alt metalhead. I kind of already am, though. I like alternative. I like metal, and the mixture of the two is really good. I mean, Ministry is like Ministry, for example, is like alternative metal. Like Rob Zombie is at least, industrial and alternative kind of blended in when it comes to his metal and stuff. Like, there's a lot of artists that are metalheads or metal bands that are also alternative that I also listen to. I just listen to, I guess, just more of the industrial end of it. Is mainstream these days? It's mainstream? Really? Mainstream? I wouldn't necessarily say mainstream. I mean, he's popular, especially, considering he's like a, big 90s artist and stuff. I mean, yeah, I'll grant that. But, alright, it's like, alright, then tell me what's his most latest album. I mean, what is it? You say he's more mainstream than he was in the 90s? I mean, sure, because of popularity. Yeah, because a lot of people know his name. I mean, hell, I'm sure there's, kids, scene kids, from, even my generation shit that probably wore shirts of his and not realizing what it is. But, I mean, honestly, I wouldn't necessarily say he's full-on mainstream. I would just say that, he's, one of the big, 90s industrial, rock and metal artists from back in the day that's, famous, especially from that generation of people that are into that music. And, because he's a very big popular name. It's I'm because for me, a mainstream band, especially for something that's alternative / industrial metal or something, something that comes up in my mind that's genuinely mainstream to me would be Rammstein or something. Or or some shit like that. Because Rammstein is full on legitimately mainstream. They have heavy production, professional sets, shows. They go out of the way to have basically a theater play pretty much for a concert. Instead of just a show. It's a whole level of different types of performance going on with that. If you've seen any Rammstein's live music or live performances, they're almost more than just a music performance in a way. A lot of it's just because because of with how big they are, especially not just in Europe, especially in Germany, but also just globally. Even a lot of people that aren't really as much into alternative industrial style metal and shit, they there's a lot of metalheads or even people who are rock heads and shit that are generally into that, into Rammstein specifically. Maybe not into the genre overall, that emulates around it, but at least with that band specifically. Let's check this out. Making Vietnamese is so good. You get to play it live years later in a full show. Slave to the System, Frank Klepacki, and Tiberian Sons. Oh, so he does live shows? Oh, this is a recent upload too. You just uploaded this. Live shows in Europe. Yeah, this says live in Brno, which I'm pretty sure is in Czechia. Or Czech Republic. Former Czechoslovakia, I believe. Yeah, it is in Czechoslovakia, or Czech Republic. Honestly, low-key though, low-key though, Slovakia and Czech Republic should just morph again and just become Czechoslovakia again. Because honestly, every time I think of Czech Republic, my brain immediately wants to think Czechoslovakia. like, just immediately. So it's just like, you know, to me, it's like, you know, maybe they could just, like, you know, be like the United, you know, States of, you know, Czechia and Slovakia or something, and just shorten it down to just Czechoslovakia as, like, the informal name. It didn't have a formal, like, United States or whatever, you know, or some shit. The United States of, you know, Czechia and Slovakia, but just have the informal one. So then it's just, I don't know, someone like me, you know, can just, like, chill out and just be like, okay, cool. Not have to remind myself over and over again. Ethnic tension that screwed them into separating. You know, why am I not surprised? Of course it's like ethnic tension. I mean, good grief. Spirit 90s music, isn't it? I'd say more early 2000s, but it's got that strong 90s, like, industrial, like, like that kind of, like that 90s kind of chuggy chug. But I'd argue it's a little more on the early 2000s, mid 2000s. I mean, like, it's not that that's a critique, by the way. That's, you know, like, I mean, honestly, there was definitely, like, you know, some good shit that came from the 2000s when it came to metal. But the problem was that it was just kind of a, you know, a lesser, you know, like, era. Because really, I mean, in, like, System of a Down and shit like that, but a lot of those bands usually started from the late 90s and then ended up, you know, just becoming way more bigger once, like, 99, 2000, 01 and shit like that hit. Rage Against the Machine is, like, another band like that. Like, where they're, like, kind of rap metal / like, kind of funk metal and shit, and, you know, and with them, you know, it's like they got, you know, their start in the 90s, but then it really started becoming super big up until, like, into the 2000s, basically. And especially after the 2001 DNC convention, because, like, that's when they really became big, because they played at the DNC convention there, and the LA police at the time literally, as soon as they were done with their set, you know, basically called it an unlawful assembly and gave people 15 minutes, which, if you see any video from that day, there is no way any motherfuckers getting out of that crowd in 15 minutes. So the police literally incited and started a fucking riot at the DNC in LA and shit in 2001 after Rage Against the Machine played, and tried to make it sound like Rage Against the Machine started a riot, and basically got a lot of fucking national tracking because of shit like that. It was a pretty crazy fucking, you know, time for Rage, and also just, you know, at that time too, because, or I think it might have been the 2000 DNC convention now I think about it, because it was, I think the lead up to, I think it's, like, what led up to the, Al Gore, George Bush election, if I remember correctly. That's what inspired 3 Days Grace to write Riot. Oh yeah, Let's Start a Riot. Yeah. If I remember correctly, I think, you know, yeah, I think Rage Against the Machine and that DNC convention and shit, I think, you know, that day was what inspired them to write the song. I think you're right. If not, I mean, it's definitely just an inspiration for, you know, a lot of events that are very similar to that, like when it comes to, like, civil rights, or, like, you know, even labor strikes and shit, where, like, police, you know, come in and break shit up, you know, and, well, start a riot. Aw. Little boy taking a nap over there. It's cute. All those early bands from our childhood are dying. Not for me, but they're not yet, at least, but a lot of them are old. And honestly, they're not really the same like they used to. Changing lineups and thus their sound. I know, dude. That's what's happening with me. Like, you know, one of the childhood bands I grew up with Nightwish, their bassist, Marco Attella, he left the band because he was having some mental health issues and depression and stuff like that. So he kind of took, at least for now, an indefinite hiatus until further notice, basically, from Nightwish, until, like, you know, he kind of gets himself, you know, feeling better and shit. And like, and that happened like a couple years ago, or at least like a year or two ago. And then, actually, the last time Marco Hietala performed was actually with Tarja on one of her live shows like a couple months ago. And, or at least like a month or so ago. And it was like the only time so far that he's performed or even really made a public appearance like that. So, I mean, he's definitely, taking personal time off and shit like that. And then, like, with Rammstein, like, Till Lindemann has been accused of doing some different shit, which, I mean, from my understanding of the details, I'm not 100% sure if he did, just from what it sounds like. I mean, it just sounds like kind of like, not a good situation. He's just kind of getting the blame, because it's technically his party that it happened with and stuff, so, shit like that. Again, I'm not 100% sure. And obviously, this is some, probably questionable shit. And that's kind of caused the rest of the band members of Rammstein to kind of, like, distance themselves from Till, because they've kind of noticed that he's been doing his own thing and doing a lot of these more hardcore party drug type of, things, while the rest of the band is, a little bit more laid back, about stuff like that, or at least a little bit more, like, chill. Like, they're not really as, like, hardcore like Till is. So, they'll have their little, like, parties and, probably smoke a lot of weed and, maybe have some Hatties or some shit and drink and shit. But, like, Till goes all the, the extra level. Like, he'll do some coke and fucking, like, have orgy parties and stuff. Like, Till Lindemann goes all out. Like, I mean, like, while the rest of the band doesn't really go that, intense. So there's, like, that going on, too. I mean, there's just, like, a lot of bands that I could think of that, I'm just like, oh. I'm just like, God damn it. Maybe turn it down a little just in case if you want to hear what I'm talking about. The new guy sucks for the band, in my opinion. I listened to him when he was part of my dark stays, but and first thing he loses himself to me as well, man. Sex singer just going through the motions. I don't know. I've actually like got a chance to like talk to that dude for a little bit, because when I first saw 3 Days Grace live, it was on my 18th birthday, and my brother got me a VIP ticket for for that, and honestly, he seems like like he generally, is into what he's doing. I mean, he's not the same, I'm not gonna say that, but, I mean, I don't know, like, he does his own thing with it. I don't think it's just going for the motions. I think he just, like, has his own way of doing it, but it still fits. Obviously, maybe that doesn't necessarily, like, flow with, others, especially maybe more OG fans, but, I mean, at least for me, like, I saw 3 Days Grace and kind of got more into them after Adams, so I suppose maybe that's got something to do with that, I suppose. I don't think he has the vocal chops Adam had. Well, sure. I mean, honestly, I just would say that his, his vocal chops are just a little, it's just different, in comparison to Adams. Since I've been a fan since 1X. I mean, that's a fucking solid album. Like, when I got into them, I got, into some of their older music, for sure, but, I mean, but I don't know, at least, at the end of the day, I'm kind of, like, impartial one way or the other. Like, I mean, I just think they both have, their own little style to it, but they both work, they both, fit with, with the music and shit. I mean, it's definitely a little different, for sure, in a sense that, like, it has a different style, in a, vocally especially, but, I mean, I don't know, works for me. But, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm also not, like, the biggest hardcore 3 Days Grace fan, but, like, I know enough about them, I like them, I listen to their music and shit, listen to, like, their albums, over and over again before and stuff, so, I mean, I know enough about them and shit, and listen to enough of their stuff, but I'd say, I guess they're kind of, like, more in the upper mid, when it comes to, like, interest, when it comes to music. I think they either already did or are gonna show up in Portland, which I'm pretty sure they already did. And, but I didn't go to it because Shinedown was with them, and I was like, eh. It's like, if Shinedown's, opening for them, fuck that. I'm just like, nah, I'll see them within another tour. San Antonio, Adam's new band sounds like old 3 Days Grace with heavier guitars and drums. So just kind of more of a heavier 3 Days Grace. 3 Weeks Hell. Yeah. I'm not saying is a bad vocalist, yeah, because he ain't. Honestly, I'd argue that, like, I mean, like, there are, like, I think, you know, vocalists out there that I think get too much credit that are honestly way worse than him. I mean, even then, like, I would still like those artists to an extent. Like, for example, like... Well, actually, this is one I don't like. Axl Rose. Like, I mean, his... Oh, yeah, you know, all that shit. Honestly, it kind of... I mean, it's not that bad if done occasionally in a song. You know, but he does it, like, as his style. And it's like, that gets grating on the ears after a long time. It's like, oh, no. It's like, I mean, it's like, imagine it for this song. It's like... It's like, oh fuck. It's like, God, that would just be annoying. Because it kind of is after a while. I mean, the rest of fucking Guns N' Roses is pretty good, but I just, his vocal style is just fucking, it gets annoying. Like, occasionally as like a way to kind of like, you know, wrap off like a verse or something, to kind of give off like a little, like, oh, you know, type of thing at the end of a verse or some shit, like, whatever, that's fine, like, when you add it as, like, a garnish, but he does it, like, as his style. It's like, dude, and plus, he's just a major douchebag, too, so fuck Axl Rose. He literally canceled the show, like, right before he was supposed to go on because he got butthurt and had a fight with, like, Dave Mustaine or some shit. It was just like, man, you're a fucking prick. Like, basically pissed all of your fans off and, like, caused a riot, essentially. You know, because of that. It's like, you fucking idiot. So, I mean, there's at least one pretty good example in my mind. And one I generally don't like. So, at least there's a great example. See, there's a band I like, but they're centrist, both side fence sitters. I get the impression they don't want to alienate their fan base because they're one survivors of the grunge, post-grunge scene that the fascists largely infiltrated. Same thing for punk. I mean, like, you know, that type of shit, you know, it was in punk too. But the thing is, punk was a lot more adamant about kicking that out. Like, because, you know, punks, you know, have no fucking qualm with literally beating the fuck out of Nazis and shit. I'm sure the same thing for, you know, grunge heads and shit, but, you know, I don't think, you know, it was as big of a deal. Because there wasn't as much, like, politics and shit at that, you know, in grunge. I mean, if there was, it wasn't really more about, like, bashing Nazi head in or something. Or bashing cops and, you know, taking it to the system. It was more about just, like... You know, it was more, I mean, it was in a way, but not like, you know, so overt like, you know, punk could be. You know, or at least not to the same degree. Yeah, and yeah, that's what I mean. It wasn't really political. Like, you might have, like, a song here and there that, like, a band might write that might be kind of tangentially political and rebellious, but most of it was more about, like, relationships, woe is me, you know, shit sucks, you know, let me dope up. You know, it was just kind of stuff like that. Which, to be fair, I mean, it's just a reflection of the times, you know, that people were feeling. So, I mean, there was a reason why, you know, that, you know, genre, you know, was kind of the way it was in a way. You know, and because of that, like, I mean, it made it a little bit more easier for, like, you know, someone like Nazis, you know, to kind of infiltrate. And honestly, I bet they did because they saw an opportunity to, you know, have an outlet for some of those people. I kind of give them a sense of purpose almost. And then, you know, of course, like when it came to punk, there was already kind of a sense of purpose built in to the genre because the genre started off, you know, essentially overtly anti-establishment, overtly leftist, anti-capitalist, and and it's a very anarchist style genre. So like it started with purpose, like essentially, and with a sense of like genuine like kind of political outreach, outlook, in a way. And a lot of the music, especially from back then, with bands like the Ramones, the Dead Kennedys, I mean, even the Sex Pistols to an extent, like a lot of these fucking bands, like overtly, like fucking, like made their shit political as fuck. Like, and because of shit like that, it made it pretty easy for politically savvy youth, especially punks, to have an outlet for their politics. I mean, it was basically kind of like, the leftist fears at the time, in a way. And of course, some of the more far-right extremist types, like Nazi punks and shit, would see that and try to kind of wheeze their way into some scenes. And there were some that infiltrated, but the ones that kind of caught whiff and were like, hey, these guys are Nazis. Like, to the punks that realized that, it's like, hey, Nazi punks, fuck off. And, just like literally would just whoop their fucking ass and made it, damn clear that they ain't welcome. And without a qualm either. Emails full of sexual sex pests. I love you being a big guy. Be careful who you support, especially as female, because our brand is very common. Yeah, I'm not too shocked over that. I'm not surprised. Emo was a huge thing back in like the early 2010s, and I mean, I would tangentially kind of hear about some different news, about stuff like that, and yeah, there was a lot of shit, especially back then. I have stories, at least one show they went to where they were bare minimum groped. Jesus fucking Christ. See, I don't, I have not had those, situations, at least as far as I'm aware, happen at metal shows. I've heard some pretty crazy shit at metal shows, but I've not heard of, like, that happening at a metal show. So I guess if there's one thing you can, be certain for, shows I've been to, that don't happen. And honestly, if that did, like, either that girl is gonna have, like, every dude in the vicinity literally, like, beat you the fuck down into a pulp in the pit, or, fucking, their partner will beat you to pulp in the pit. It's usually in the mosh pit. Well, funny enough, with my friend Tyler, when he went to see Metal Church, like the opening band, for some reason, like the singer was actually like a major dick because they were trying to start a pit, and straight up the singer was getting mad that there was like a mosh pit going on, and at one point, like, literally yanked my friend Tyler's hair and shit, and almost straight up had a fucking fist fight. Like, the opening band singer and my friend Tyler literally had almost a fist fight in the fucking pit. And it's just like, bro. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, I mean, why? It's just like, I mean, what the hell? I mean, if you, I was just kind of like, dude, what an actual prick. And if it wasn't for security, like, I would say, well, you should just whoop his ass. It's like, see if you can, like, have a good opening show the next, town you go to, all bruised up. Because, good lord. I mean, it's just like, I don't know what the opening band was, but low-key, kind of fuck them if that's what they were doing. And supposedly, at least, that opening band singer slash frontman and my friend Tyler, like, after the show, eventually reconciled, apparently. But, I mean, it's just like, I mean, my friend Tyler's still like, yeah, fuck him. He's still kind of like, fuck that guy anyway. He just reconciled enough to where he doesn't necessarily want to overtly beat his ass anymore, but he's just like, dude, he's still a dick, so fuck him. And I'm just like, fair enough. Especially if, like, you're doing hair pulling at a metal show, that's the last thing you want to do, because honestly, like, most people who have long hair at metal shows are gonna be dudes, not gals. So it's like, chances are you're about to get, like, a beefcake fist, just, like, smashing your face in like a pancake. Okay, so just, which that dude almost did. Like, I mean, straight up, he just straight up, like, my friend, like, had his fist cocked ready to go, and if it wasn't for security breaking up really quick, be like, separating them, not kicking him out, but separate him at least, then, like, it would have been, like, it would have been a beatdown. Also, like, my friend Harley, who was there, he was at the edge of the pit, and someone bumped into him and he spilled his beer on one of the roadies for Metal Church and nearly got in a fight with one of them. And I'm just like, dude, what is with this aggression? Like, I mean, I'm just like, what the hell? I mean, you know, it's like, man, I mean, it's like, fuck that guy too. I mean, dude, you know how many times I've had beer and, like, you know, spilt on me or, like, slipped on ice in, you know, in the pit? A lot. It happens. You know, I don't freak out over it. I'm just like, well, gonna have to wash up tonight. You know, it's like, whatever. To me, it's no big deal because I kind of expect that a little bit. Like, I mean, you know, like, I don't know how other people don't. Like, yeah, guess what? If someone has a beer and they, you know, either get bumped into from the edge of the pit or they're in the pit with it, which that's just alcohol abuse. You're just going to waste some more beer than drinking in the pit. But beyond the edge of the pit, that ain't really until someone does alcohol abuse, you know, indirectly by bumping into you and you spills it. But, I mean, if it gets on you, I don't know. I mean, just change up once the show's over. Change clothes. I don't know. I mean, if you're a roadie, I'm sure they'll understand being like, hey, I'm kind of soaked in beer. Mind if I go change my shirt real quick or something? And I'm sure they'll understand, like, good God. I won't drink beer anywhere. Oh, well, either way, I'm just saying. Should be aware that don't listen to me too much. Well, I at least expect you to go down, like, the karaoke bar on, like, Fridays, Saturdays, if you were to be here. Just saying. Because it ain't that far away, for one. And for two, you don't even have to interact with anyone. I mean, you could just be hanging out at, like, one of the table booths and just sit there. Here's illegal to vape in Oregon in public. Public in Oregon? What? No, it's not. No, what? You can vape? What? That's retarded. Like, no, it's not. I'm in California. Is it illegal to vape in public in California? Because if so, that is beyond retarded. Like government buildings, schools. Oh, that's it? Oh, wait, so that's it? So it basically has, like, the law of, like, the 10 feet rule, but it doubled it up by 20 feet? Because that's the same thing here. Like, you can't smoke cigarettes and, you know, and shit like that, you know, within 10 feet of entrances of public properties or businesses, government buildings, and stuff like that. But I guess it's more or less specifically the entrances, unless there's, like, a no smoking zone overtly specified. You know, but it's at least 10 feet of entrances into places. And then, unless, like, unless the business, you know, states otherwise that, yeah, you could smoke here, like a smoking lounge or something, then obviously they're not going to give a fuck. And also bars are the same way, too. Like, a lot of bars that I go to, like, immediately right next to the door, you know, people will be sitting outside smoking a cigarette. Like, right next to the fucking door. So, I mean, it's kind of a very loosey-goosey law. Like, it's more enforced by the business owners and shit like that, you know, or, like, you know, like, other people more so than the actual cops and stuff like that. Like, if you happen to be caught smoking next to the door and, you know, business is like, hey, can you not, and move away a little bit, then, you know, that's about as far as the enforcement goes. At least from my experience. The UK is making moves to make smoke. You know, honestly, I was just kind of thinking about that. You want to look at it? I was just kind of thinking about that because I saw that earlier. I didn't watch it, but I saw that notification. I was like, the fuck? Yeah, I was about to pull it up, and for some reason it doesn't want a full screen, so hold on. But yeah, we have some time. I've still got, like, about, like, 15, 20 minutes to kill. There we go.
Okay, so now,
Crystal Kyle, oh my god.
Talk with you about here, Crystal. So, in the UK, they just made a pretty bold move. So, Rishi, how do you pronounce this guy's name? Rishi
Sunak.
Sunak or Sunak?
Sunak, I think.
Sunak? Okay, Rishi Sunak. He unveiled a crackdown on smoking and potentially vaping as well. In this article I have in front of me in the Daily Mail, they use vaping. And so basically the idea is kids aged 14 and under will never be able to buy cigarettes under this new ban. So it's almost like a phased-in ban over time, and they discriminate based on age. So here's what they said. Rishi Sunak today unveiled bold plans to stamp out the child vaping epidemic and ban kids under age 14, kids 14 and under from ever legally being able to buy cigarettes. The proposed law will I can talk, I promise. The proposed
Are you sure?
law.
I just realized I don't even have a screen up. Oh my god. Just sitting here being like, here, let me adjust this real quick and come back and just curse black market for cigarettes. Yeah, it does. I mean, also, like, I can understand, prohibiting, teenagers, obviously, like, just make it so it's like you have to be 21, to buy cigarettes or something. Like, just make it like that. There you go. Don't ban it, just, or whatever the fuck. Just make it so you have to be an adult or at least a certain age to buy them. Because at least, for the longest time, it used to be 18, at least in Oregon, but then they switched it to 21 with a new tobacco law they made kind of in tandem with the legalization of marijuana a couple years later. Because, like, tobacco-based products includes things like pipes, bongs, stuff like that. And they kind of realized, weed is, like, something that you can use, in tobacco products, too, like these. And we're kind of realizing we can't really, use that language anymore because we don't need to. So now we're going to adjust that, with the legalization of like recreational marijuana age, and that got implemented basically the year I turned 21. So I didn't have to really worry about anything. By the time it was implemented, I turned 21, and it didn't matter to me. So, I mean, and honestly, I think, something like that's fair. It's like, that's okay. Whether, and I think 21 is honestly understandable, especially when it comes to, like, tobacco-based products and stuff like that. So, I mean, that's fine. But, like, this whole idea of, like, doing a full-on prohibition is just, like, it's retarded.
That's why there's a typo in here. It's not even my fault. It's the fault of the article. Jesus Christ. The proposed law will annually raise the age of legal purchase of tobacco from the current 18 by 1 additional year every 12 months.
Okay.
So you understand how that works?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're increasing the year, like, and prohibiting, like, the year, like, so, okay, so I'm kind of seeing how they're doing this. So for, like, they're implementing it at, like, 18, but every 12 months they're going to make it 19, and then 20, 21, 22, and so on and so forth, pretty much indefinitely, which effectively over time will outright ban it. So it's also kind of grandfathering in the current population of anyone that might be, like, 18 or older, and saying it's fine for them, basically, but anybody that is younger than that, essentially, is like, no, that's the cutoff. Which, again, it's a black market that, and also, that ain't gonna work. Like, because all the people who are, grandfathered in are just going to buy cigarettes and shit for people who are younger than them, you dipshits. Like, I mean, yeah, they're just easily making a black market. Like, there's gonna be, like, little British, like, wannabe gangster mafias running around. So, like, oh, God, just selling black market cigarette. Oh, fuck me, dude. It's all, oi there, I'm gonna get Jimmy McCluster Iron Hands over there to fucking bash whatever teeth you have left in your face, what? And also I got straight teeth over there to, add in, straight teeth implants to make sure that you got teeth, to bash in later there, what I say? Oh God, no, don't give me the straight teeth, oh shit, no!
It will see England follow in the footsteps of New Zealand, which last year adopted a similar policy for everyone born.
New Zealand did this already? Okay, look, I'd like to visit New Zealand, but I don't even think they would want me anyway. Like, because they're super stringent on even tourists visiting their fucking country. Like, they're like, huh, are you at least, like, a liberal a little bit? No? Fuck off. Like, I mean, basically, they're just like, nah. Like, they're really stringent about, like, even, visitors being there. Like, they're super, super picky. Like, so I don't even think if I had a trip to New Zealand and like, a free ride or whatever to go there and back for, like, a week, I don't even think they'd want me. I think they'd be like, nah, you don't qualify, get out.
after 2009. Under the Prime Minister's proposed plan, the government will stick to the same age threshold. Think tanks and smoking rights groups...
And yes, New Zealand just got more lamer, dude. I swear if Canada does this, I'm a scream.
reacted with anger to the ban, labeling it as, I like this because it's so contradictory, hideously illiberal and unconservative. Wait,
what? Illiberal and unconservative? Isn't that oxymoronic? What?
Liberal and unconservative. So you're saying it's not liberal and it's not conservative. Anyway, the PM also announced a crackdown on vaping amongst children, promising to look at banning child-friendly flavors.
Okay.
Child-friendly flavors. And
he holds up his vape. Like Bubblicious Grape. You know what I'm saying?
Packaging that encourages kids to pick up the habit. Disposable devices are also on the firing line. I think that one's more for like environmental reasons, less so about,
health.
Yeah. He announced the move during a speech at the Conservative Party conference in Manchester, and he acknowledged it was a difficult decision to make, but he said it was the right decision to break the cycle of smoking addiction. Quote, "If we are able to do the right thing for our kids, we must try and stop teenagers taking up cigarettes in the first place. 4 in 5 smokers started by the time they were 20. Later, the vast majority tried to quit but failed because they're addicted."
I'm okay with disposable vapes being banned because of the environment. Yeah. Like, I mean, the thing is, I'm okay with regulating vapes and stuff, like, or, anything related to shit like this. Like, I think that's a good thing. It just depends on what we're doing with that. Like, looking at it for environmental factors, like, trying to get rid of disposable vapes, or, maybe like, like, for example, like with cigarette butts, like, make them more biodegradable, so if people just kind of flick them off or whatever, it will eventually just biodegrade, or at least, not be as harmful to the environment and shit. Like, I mean, these, things like this, and also, like, when it comes to flavors, just regulate it so, like, certain things that are, put in there don't, cause severe health issues, especially in, down the line. Like, I mean, like, because there are definitely certain elements about, like, additives and shit like that that are not exactly healthy or good to, like, be smoking or vaping, but the thing is, like, you can at least minimize those things by regulating, but the thing is, like, at the end of the day, you can't really regulate, okay, I could talk too, I promise. Like, I mean, you can't really, like, regulate, like people's choices in a sense. Like, when it comes to this, if people are gonna fucking vape, they're gonna fucking vape. Like, I mean, and just making it more annoying, for people, by, like, banning flavors and shit like that isn't gonna stop the actual problem that they want to try to address. If you want to minimize people from doing that type of stuff, then, like, do, like, like, different campaigns to, like, encourage, more, like, better, like, health choices and stuff like that. Like, have more proper education in the school system when it comes to, educating about these things. Like, there's ways where you can minimize, the usage of these things, but, I mean, just to try to restrict it and ban it and all sorts of shit does fucking nothing. Besides just make it look more of a taboo and piques the interest of rebellious teenagers and shit and makes them want to do it more. So, good job, you screwed the pooch. And also, I mean, of course, like, one of the big decisions from this new conservative PM weirdo is, like, ban vapes.
Suppose we raise the smoking age by 1 year every year. That means a 14-year-old today will never legally will be sold a cigarette, and their generation will grow up smoke-free. And then he goes on to point out that, like,
bullshit.
And look, we get it that
watch, like, them actually be more, like, smoke-addled addicts, like, than the previous generations.
It's very difficult whenever you come to a decision that, like, you want to restrict freedom. So I don't take this decision lightly, but nevertheless, it's the decision that I'm going to make. So he literally brought up freedom to sort of, like, swat it aside. And then a YouGov survey last year showed 57% of Brits supported the progressive age-based ban. And I think that is very different from our country.
Yeah, I think we would have a really negative reaction against it.
We definitely would.
That is very different from our country.
Yeah.
So let me just ask you, what are your thoughts on it?
I mean, listen, I think drugs should be legalized, so obviously I think
Of course Brits would support it. Dude, they need a real taste of liberty. Like, we're going for growth pains over here because of our freedom. But you know what? It's freedom. What's England got? A bunch of fucking walk and talk hillbilly, chuckle fucks that barely speak the fucking proper American's English. And fucking, like, worship the monarchy. Like, do a lot of weird, like, hillbilly-esque kind of cousin fucking shit going on. Have random, like, beans and toast, for fucking, something that's, like, hearty as a meal. And that's all this other shit. It's just like, nah. It's like, nah. Like, Revolution War II, Electric Boogaloo, baby. We're America Independence 2. Dude, England's gotten worse than Alabama. Dude, like, they're on par with fucking Missouri at this point.
And on cigarettes or vaping or whatever is...
And probably slowly but surely going to the Florida status.
Should be able to make decisions for themselves. I don't think they should be manipulated. Like, I'm fine with, bans on advertising, especially advertising to kids. I'm more open to some of the, like, the flavor thing. I think we've had debates about that before. I'm more open to some of those things, but just an outright ban, no. Of course, I don't support that.
Yeah, I agree with you. There actually is a middle ground. It's not.
I'm kind of like basically kind of Crystal's point, essentially.
Black and white. You know what I mean? And the middle.
Like, I mean, because like when I'm like from what I was saying from earlier about like certain additives when it comes to like flavored vapes, for example. I mean, if you regulate some of the more harmful additives when it comes to flavors, that could be available when it comes to vapes. I mean, that might technically weed out certain like flavor options, so to speak, just because like the things that are in them, might actually be not as good for you in comparison to like something else. I mean, technically they're all not really good for you, but I mean, considering like there would be more of a negative outcome with maybe like certain additives in comparison to others, it will help at least weed out that and make it less of a harmful health impact. My body, my choice. That's all my. Well, the thing is, when it comes to a regulation like that, it doesn't impact your body, your choice. It just weeds out harmful things. When it comes to like what you smoke. So it's like obviously it's still going to be bad for you, at the end of the day, especially long term, but we can at least minimize, things that are just more harmful than, just neutral. Like having like, vape oil is just, isn't really as big of a deal in comparison to whatever the additives are there to make it flavorful and shit. And to minimize the harm from that is a good thing. That doesn't eliminate the choice to have different flavors and all that shit. It just might minimize the variety of it, but, I mean, you're still going to have your Bubblicious Grape, you're still going to have your Blue Dream Surprise, whatever the fuck, you're still going to have those. I mean, it'll just probably take some time to kind of, like, reset in a sense, as they, produce the more better alternatives, so.
It is like you pointed out. Okay, you're banned from doing ads on TV.
Right.
You
can't have them, ads in schools and like around playgrounds or whatever. Yeah.
And I'm even open to the idea of like, look, we're gonna, this stuff is gonna be legal, but we're gonna do health and safety regulations that might change a little bit the nature of what you're having. So if there's like some sort of a vape product or
this is what I'm saying basically.
Or whatever, that it's like 10% nicotine, which is very high percentage of nicotine. It's like, no, we're gonna cap it at 5. Like, I'm okay with that.
And it's gotta be like everything's gotta be really disclosed and regulated so people actually know about the health impacts. I'm fine with like public education campaigns. I'm fine with taxes that make it more expensive even.
100% agree. So there is a middle ground.
Yeah, I'm fine with that too.
Yeah.
The middle ground is like, look, we're all going to acknowledge, because we're not idiots, that the smoking is really not good for you. And there's all these rules around. You can only have X amount of nicotine, which, by the way, nicotine isn't even really a problem in cigarettes. There's like 300 other carcinogens. It's ridiculous, but like, limit the...
I mean, basically, like, the specific, problem with cigarettes is like all the chemical additives and everything else to it. And, of course, the tobacco plant itself, too, because of how tarry it is when you burn it and shit. But, like, the nicotine itself isn't inherently really the problem. It's just, like, everything that is around it.
So,
I mean, nicotine's still an issue, but, I mean, because if anything, that's how you get hooked with it. I mean, it's like, what, a molecule away from cocaine or something?
It was cyanide in cigarettes. Everybody would be like, can you get that part? You know what I'm saying? Can you get that out?
Yeah.
But if it's something that kills you over 50 years, it's like, well, that's fine. No, I get the idea of, like, sort of limiting the damage by doing health regulations, but still effectively having it legal. And this is not that. And I think what drives me crazy about this is, like...
The British are a bunch of idiots.
I hate it when governments are like... They act like, I'm going to be very altruistic towards you. And
I shall be your altruistic nanny.
I'm going to help you. How? By telling you don't do that thing. It's like, no, if you're the government, like, provide something. Don't take away. You provide something. Now, in the UK, of course, they have universal health care, so it's a little bit of a different conversation, right?
True.
But, like, in my mind, it's like, oh, really? You want to help me? Okay, well, cut me a UBI check of $1,000 a month or whatever it is. Not like, I'm going to help you. Here, let me take that away. I'm not allowed to have this.
Right.
It's very, like, paternalistic. It's very, like, smug and condescending and arrogant. And it's like, even if you're right on the substance that this thing is not good, do people know that? It's like they know that. They're like, yeah, I know it's not good, but I'm choosing to. In the same way, alcohol is way worse than most of the things that we try to ban or regulate, right?
There's this whole also in the American right. I can't speak specifically to Rishi Sunak's ideology very adequately, but in the American right, there's this whole thing about like concern for the children, right? Around like trans issues and about
concern for the children.
Video game.
I mean, it's the same thing over here in England, basically. It's like, I can already kind of tell what she's saying. It's just like, oh, he must think about the children. Because that's basically what, Gupta, whatever his fucking name is, said. It's just like, yes, it's like, we must think of the children and, and all this and that, blah, 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 blah. I followed the goddamn instructions to crease the flour to pan. When I turned the bread, it fell apart. Damn, that sucks. So he did this. What is it? Just pulling a turn a fuck up to not big of a fuck up turned out this pumpkin bread recipe, which by all accounts is going very well. I tried to get it out of the bedpan. That butter and grease, like part of the recipe said, damn thing crumbled apart. Still tastes good. Though, so while they were hot, I rolled them into these bread balls, dusted them with cocoa powder, and sifted it with powdered sugar. Hey. Nice. Phantom of the Opera. Oh shit. Whoa, dude. It's pretty cool. I said over here in England. I said over there. I said over there in England. Oh my god. Show the pumpkin balls on screen. Didn't I? I thought I did. Here. Okay, those aren't it. That's still the kitty. Hey, look at those. That's pretty good. I mean, I heard here too. Well, okay, whatever. I guess I'm just not going insane. I'm gonna show you my pumpkin balls. That sounds concerning. That does sound concerning. Luckily, I don't have to stick around to find out. Because I'm gonna smoke this last little bowl and, get myself off to work. Because, well, should be concerned. Oh, God. No, thank you. You thought Venom was secret liming this whole time, but it was you. Yep, it was me this entire time. Yeah, fuck it. I don't even give a shit. But if you do that, I'll slap them so hard that they're going to become ovaries. I will slap them so hard that they're going to be a force generated slap. Secret power move. But anyway, gonna go off to work and all that fun shit, so I'll be back way later tonight because it's karaoke night. So gonna go off and do all that fun shit later once I get off work. So peace out, and of course, be back around, well, again, way later. So toodaloo and see you then, and if not, then